Yeah, being an EU person myself, I do enjoy those earlier races sometimes. And looks like we're off. I missed what the uncle said to us, but it's not holding the sword at least.
Red rupee in the first chest, and the seed is bootless until boots. So
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, that does make sense. You can pretty much apply that to any seed, whether it's bootless or not. And I for one am hoping for early boots because they make the game go faster and they're just so much more fun.
Yeah, for sure. It makes the routing a lot more nicer as well. Starting off with the Cane and Burna, that's an interesting weapon to begin with.
Yeah, I'm really not sure how the randomizer places those starting weapons, but I'm really starting to feel that it places key progression items like hammer and cane, elsewhere as needed, and then just picks whatever's left because there's a disproportionate number of bomb starts and burna starts compared to sword or hammer or something else like that. Uh, Another burn to start. It's people are gotten used to it at this point anyway, so they know how to execute it.
Yeah, for sure. We saw Justin doing some a little bit of extra farming there with the bushes early on, just in case you get a bomb here. That's because the farming is more or less the biggest problem with this weapon.
Yeah, he used the pot here in the hallway as well. ALTTPR not doing the pot to pick up the heart or to kill the green guards. It's always difficult when you have the Cane of Burna and you have limited ammunition in the form of magic. Do you dive deep into a prize pool of a particular enemy type, green guards, blue guards, whatever, or do you try to do shallow dips into multiple prize pools, kill some rats, bats, ropes, in addition to green guards? It's a difficult gamble to make.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, some extra magic there. That's nice at the very least.
Yeah, so we did get one medallion, ether, so far in Escape. That might actually be an interesting farming item to use in the sewers. You can clear an entire room with an ether, and it's kind of magic efficient. But there's bombs.
Ooh, yeah, there's bombs. Justin did kill 2 more green guards than ALTTPR did so far. But also the problem with the ether medallion is that you need to have a sword in order to use it.
Yes, I did forget that, and that is a very good point. Justin's good on bombs now, and he's gonna get 4 magic pots in the bottom of Escape, so he'll be fine for killing the rats as well. Basically, it comes down to how is ALTTPR going to kill any more green guards or not.
Yeah, for sure. He does have almost a half magic bar left, so could decide to farm some of the ropes instead, because they're so densely packed there in this back of Escape sequence. But we do know there's bomb drops from the green guards, so it would be interesting to see if they decide to just use some pots here soon to kill some green guards as well.
Yeah, it's always the disadvantage that we have as viewers. We know that the right decision to make is to kill a few more green guards, get that 8 bomb out of the prize pack. But ALTTPR is not having that knowledge. Has to make a gamble, and not using the pots there, so he's missing out on that prize pool.
Yeah, and also checking the back of Escape is not necessarily super important early on. It's always nice to be able to do it straight away, but most of the times you will be able to pick up a lift upgrade and just do it a little bit later. So hopefully there's nothing of major importance there if ALTTPR does not pick up a bomb.
Yeah, absolutely. It does come down to to some extent trying to fill some time during the escape sequence, because you get 6 minutes of the same thing that you see every race. To do a little bit of a recap here, the road so far, both of these players were 5-2 in the Swiss stage, so fairly comparable skill levels. aLderzz beat Sigma Sin 2-0 in the first bracket phase, and Justin beat out Ruble 2-1 to find themselves here.
Yeah, and none of those are easy opponents, so that's very well done from both of them. This did see aLderzz didn't get any bombs, but did get a full magic from one of the ropes, so has some more potential to farm here.
Yeah, I think aLderzz is probably taking the position that more and more people are taking these days, and you wisely pointed out as well. It doesn't make a lot of sense to commit too much time into bomb farming if you're just going to be able to come back here later anyway.
Yeah, and it looks like no bombs, and we have the flippers and a shovel in the back, so that's some interesting items.
Yeah, in this case, I think the bomb farming was worthwhile. The shovel is very easy to route in after you do the race game, and that could have interesting progression. But there's a glove for aLderzz, so he can come back here immediately.
Yeah, that's good news. Probably not gonna check this until after Kakariko, and at that point, it might not be worth doing the shovel straight away. But it's very good news that like the shovel or the flippers weren't blocking that glove.
Yeah, my guess is he'll probably come back here right after his very first saving quit after Kakariko, so he's not going to have to double back on any of the flipper spots. Might lose a little bit of an inconvenience routing in the shovel, though. Nice bombs on the crab, though.
Yeah, and the tree pull with the 20 rupees as well. That's some very nice both tree pulls and bush crab so far. Only 10 arrows on the lumberjack ledge, so I think they're both happy, or at the very least aLderzz at this point is happy to see that.
Yeah, with that being the tier 2 tree pull prize, at any given time in the game, they're most likely to be in a state where they would have killed 4 enemies and having taken damage. So anytime that they pass by one of those trees, just to pull it and grab 80 rubies will be pretty quick to do.
Yeah, and with both the gloves and the flippers in logic right now, it could be a pretty decent way of farming for Sora if needed. I mean, with the glove, they can also do the hula hands setup, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot more of those pull locations than just those 3 trees up there. There's the foot of Turtle Rock. There's some rocks on the way to South Shore. You really got to know all of those locations. If there's a valuable prize, you can really take advantage of that extra game knowledge. So we haven't seen a map check, but we did get our second myths upgrade right there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yes, this might be one of those seats when you get Dark World access before you leave Kakariko, which opens up a lot of possibilities for divergence in routing.
Yeah, I did a race last week where the mitts were right there in the back of Blind's hut. Unfortunately, one player bombed the wall, got the first 4 items, and then missed the mitts. And
that
was very unfortunate. In this case, both players picked it up though, so no worries there.
So the bottle vendor today, well, at the very least they got half of the money back.
Yeah, 50% tax on the bottle vendor. Interesting items so far. The mitts means we're just a moon pearl away from having Dark World access at Kakariko. We're also a sword and a lamp away from having Dark World access through Ganon. So we have some progression towards both of those options.
Yeah, for sure. At this point, though, Aghanim would be quite unlikely since they have they're only missing the Moon Pearl. So the only way Aghanim would be required if that Moon Pearl happens to be on the pyramid.
Yeah, exactly. You would need Moon Pearl in the pyramid, or you would need the flute and the Moon Pearl to be in Checkerboard Cave, and the flute and the mirror to show up. So both of those pretty unlikely. I think it's a safe play to say it's most likely going to be dead. But well, you can't call it till you see it.
Yeah, for sure. Another good thing for our runners to have right now is the flippers, so they do have access to the east side of the Dark World once they actually get that Dark World access as well.
Yeah, early flippers is nice. Having to do everything from Kakariko is a little bit of an inconvenience. But we are going to get to see our first shovel check here. Justin routing it in, and just a heart piece, so no big deal for aLderzz.
Yeah, and we see aLderzz going for a back-o escape straight away now, and it makes a lot of sense. Get this off of your mind straight away. It's 3 locations, they're very fast to get to.
I won't be surprised if we see him start at Link's house, immediately do the shovel before walking down the South Shore. You kind of feel like you got it so early, it's going to be leading to something.
Yeah, they might do that. There's also a reasoning to maybe skip it for now, because they do have the Titansmith, so if they happen to pick up the mirror, they can do like the shovel paired with the Smith sequence later. And if we get a map shake, we have 2 normal crystals at Desert and Eastern, and a green pendant at Tower of Hera.
Yeah, Justin picked up 50 rupees there at the dam. Apparently that's where the bottle vendor stashes his extra savings, his ill-gotten gains.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who would ever check that? Unless you're a crazy orphan boy who just goes around and kills everything.
Exactly. You're just a looting orphan. You don't care. Bombs, hearts. Mini Moldorm Cave, no hype today, unfortunately. That's my hype cave.
Yeah, skipping Ice Road Cave for now, so they might just do that while they're doing the sword checks, so might be actually setting up for a Houlihan here.
That makes a lot of sense. A little bit unfortunate that he didn't set this up first, because he's going to have to walk down there a bit, but actually now that I think about it, with the flippers, he can just jump in right at the Hylia Island, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's a very nice heads-up play here from Justin. Because you want to do the rest of the border, like the flippers checks anyways, so it makes sense to make sure that you have enough money to pay off Sora as well.
Yeah, aLderzz got down to a single bomb there, so those 3 bombs and chests are actually pretty nice timing for him. Normally you're like, who cares, it's 3 bombs, but when you're down to 1, it matters. Looks like he's heading directly over to Ice Road Cave.
Yeah, and walking as well, which is interesting. Since they have the flippers, I do believe just swimming is actually a little bit faster. But it's hard to remember sometimes when you get to certain flippers. We see aLderzz utilizing them now instead.
Yeah, it is slightly faster. You get to avoid some of the crabs, and with green mail, they are very dangerous. But you do have to fight the bird.
So Ice Road Cave only holding a bomb upgrade, and Justin is actually skipping it for now as well. So they might not check that until they get the flute or maybe the boots later on. So I think if you decide to skip Ice Road Cave early, it's better to just hold on to that commitment. do get a
Yeah.
sword here, so that's it's a little bit more likely now to see that Aghanim play. People are holding out for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Either you commit to Ice Rod Cave before you flipper or fake flipper, or you just write it off until you can get back there quickly or run out of items. Justin still might go back there if he's only looking for the Moon Pearl and it's Ice Rod Cave or Aghanim. He'll probably gamble Ice Rod Cave just to avoid a 5-minute Aga Tower climb. But it's going to be wasted effort. We know it's just a bomb capacity upgrade. That fighter sword though is nice, and there's the Moon Pearl. So I think Ice Rod Cave is dead to Justin, at least for a while.
Yeah, and does go over here to ledge as well. Didn't really see what it was, but apparently it's something of interest, and it is. Yeah, it's a massive sword. So that's not bad at all to have when you go to the Dark Road.
Yeah, I would say that's worth picking up.
So yeah, Aghanim very much dead at the moment. There's still a small possibility that the Pyramid Fairy holds the hammer, but well, it's quite unlikely.
Extremely rare. I've only seen it once in the hundreds and hundreds of seeds that I've played and watched. So very unlikely, but until you pick up that hammer, you can't say it's 100% dead. But Justin immediately going into the Dark World, and looks like aLderzz is kind of following in his footsteps here, doing the hula hand. This will get him his Moon Pearl and second sword and first sword as well.
Yeah, so that's a very good call, and we did see a map check here. Pod and Mr. Mire, the last two pendants, and Feast Town and Turtle Rock was the 5/6 crystal, so Pyramid Fairy having the hammer is now completely dead.
Yeah, both of those dungeons logically requiring the hammer to complete. So Rip Aga, definitely dead. So to answer a question in chat, you can swim to Dark World, but you can't take the bomb with you.
Yeah.
So that's the requirement.
If you find boots, you can do a water walk, a setup of a water walk to get over with the bomb, but that would require the boots. And so Justin heading into Skullwoods, finding the bow straight away. That's a very nice find, especially since it's always required in every single standard seed.
That's a huge find. Palace of Darkness being a pendant means it's a little bit less likely to do a combo if we get a mirror, but that will let him clear Eastern and pick up the crystal there. He's not going to have any issues sequence breaking those dark rooms. So bow, really really trolly item. Good to get out of the way early.
Yeah, for sure, and it's also gonna lead them to doing Sahasrara as well, which is a Sphere 1 location, and when you get Dark World access so early, it can be tough to get back to until you have the mirror or something like that. But getting the bow, that might make them check that out as well.
Yeah, it's also an area that aLderzz could potentially not check right away. Without having the Fire Rod and in version 29 with Skullwoods not being the almost guaranteed value that it was in previous versions, players do tend not to come up here immediately.
Yeah, I can definitely see a reasoning for that. Justin getting the second item as well, so that's nice. They know that they don't have to go back to Skullwoods until they're in go mode.
Yeah, that could definitely be our last crystal prior to going up to Turtle Rock, depending on how the items show up. Because he's done over here for now. Thieves Town being that red crystal makes that an appealing destination. It's always a little bit risky going into Thieves Town without the hammer. We might see him do some more of these Village of Outcast Overworld checks, or maybe even a Frog World tour, so we can try to find the hammer in Hype Cave.
Yeah, only a red boomerang on the pyramid. No, not the pyramid, on the bumper cave. So Well, that cape seems to be a little bit useless at the moment, but
That's a good point. He could have picked it up if he wanted to. Maybe if it was the blue boomerang, but no one's going to go out of their way for the red boomerang. And in all seriousness, no one's going to go out of their way for the blue one either.
yeah, I don't think so.
So, ALTTPR didn't make the Skullwoods gamble. Is checking these exterior locations to Thieves Town. This always makes sense, 100% of the time. If you find the hammer in one of these 3 spots, you're not taking any risk leaving an item behind in Thieves Town. The question is, do you continue on and check other locations? I think it's probably makes sense to, to do digging game, take the frog on a world tour. The only risk there is without the mirror, you're leaving behind Cave 45. Justin, he's gambling on Thieves Town, giving him what he needs.
Yeah, with Greenmail, I can also see a dip here to see if you get the small key in one of the first 4 chests. If you don't get the small key, it's quite likely that the small key might be locked in the big chest, so they can just continue on without having too much of a risk missing an item. But if they get a small key early, it's possible that they might do a death warp and come back when they have the hammer.
We got a big key and 300 rupees in our first 2 chests. Both of them having made this commitment to Thieves Town. If they end up full clearing this dungeon and an item is locked behind, they'll both have to, gamble the double dip later on. Red Potion as their 3rd item, and Hookshot as our 3rd.
Yeah, that's a very nice item to get. So yeah, continuing now, I think makes sense. And actually, even if you do get the small key in one of the first 4 locations, and that means the blind is not locked by the hammer. So at that point, blind could actually have the hammer, because you won't be able to key lock yourself when you have all the small keys.
That's a good point. We got 3 of the 4 items already, so the chances of that 4th item being in the chest is kind of low at this point. It definitely makes sense to continue. At a minimum, they got a lot of value out of this dungeon. That's their first bottle, so they can do Sick Kid in their next visit to Kakariko, and they'll probably take the frog over there for a world tour and turn him in when they do Sick Kid. But that Hookshot is that's East Death Mountain access, and they can sequence break their way up there, so that opens up a lot.
Yeah, that Hookshot alone unlocks I think 40 new locations on Death Mountain that they can check. As you said, not in sequence quite yet, but that's one of those sequence breaks you will see players do more often.
Yeah, 14 locations on Light and Dark Death Mountain, knowledge of a 15th on the ledge, plus the TR pendant knowledge. A very valuable trip, and if they find the hammer, then they can also get to Hera as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have to see if this next chest is a key or not. Is going to depend on. It's going to determine. All right, so a map. So the key is in the big chest, and they do not have to worry about coming back here later on. That's always the case with Thieves Town. Is if you come in here with a hammer, then you're going to have to open the chest to pick some garbage. If you come in without the hammer, it just works out nicely for you, and you end up not needing it.
Yeah, something like that. So Justin starting his scripted fight here against Blind, doing a very well job at the moment. And see aLderzz heading in for the fight as well.
And Blind reminding us that Maya requires ether, quake, or bombos. And I'll admit that I read that as either for a long time.
Yeah, I can't blame you for that one. Most of the times I actually don't even see the text because I just try to skip it as fast as possible. So I just know that Blind is always saying something, something funny, but I never know what.
Oh, so Blind just had a dungeon item, so I guess they picked up the 4th item upstairs and I missed it.
Yeah, I think I missed it as well. I'm just hoping that it was a map or something that I missed.
Probably bomb arrow capacity upgrade. Chet says a red rupee. Thank you, CCX. So really nice sync at this point. That bow gives Justin a nice advantage. The bow, prior to Ganon's Tower, is only locking Armos Knights and Helmasaur, as well as 2 additional locations in Pendant Pod. So it's not going to give aLderzz a significant disadvantage in the short term. The risk comes in if he checks a lot of other locations looking for the bow before Skullwoods. That could be a time loss. Hopefully that won't happen.
Yeah, for sure. And it also depends a little bit on where do we have that fire rod, because at this point aLderzz might be skipping Skullwoods for quite some time if they don't get the fire rod.
That's a good point. If we find the fire rod, that's going to lead him to there's Quake. I was gonna say, and other than the fire rod, the trolley items in this seed are going to be the ice rod and potentially a medallion. Right there eliminates one of the medallions that we could find. Ice rod is the most trolliest item in the game, followed by medallions and then the bow.
Yeah, for sure. Heading over to Hypecase, so let's see if we can get some kind of hype in here. The hammer would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, I wonder why Justin didn't take the frog with him.
Yeah, we saw that he was about to go up to grab it, but then decided not to.
Well, if he goes to turn the frog in, that would let him do Sick Kid as well. So it really makes a lot of sense. I like aLderzz's choice to take it with him. My only thinking is that he is intending to go do Pendant Palace of Darkness without the hammer.
Yeah, it could be, or maybe they wanted to do have the possibility to just run straight over to another dungeon once they save and quit, but we'll see. We're definitely heading over in this area at least.
I still like taking the frog with you. It gives you some options. You can still get into Palace of Darkness if you have the frog in tow. Kiki will overwrite the frog, unlike some other dungeons. So that you're not locking yourself out of anything. I don't know. I like having that option open. So aLderzz would probably be the first one to show us the Sick Kid and Blacksmith, and we get our look at the pyramid here, and that's just a red rupee.
Yeah, so this is one of the, except for Skullwoods, this is the first true divergence we have seen so far. So it's gonna be interesting to see what it gives. So the blacksmith, they have blue mail. Well, that's nice. It's not required, but it's always nice to get.
Yeah, the blacksmiths are taking tailoring up today, giving us our first mail upgrade of the game.
Yeah, maybe it's a chainmail or something.
It could be chainmail. That's a good point. I hadn't considered that.
Oh, and there's a fire rod from Sick Kid, so that's good news for aLderzz. That's gonna lead him straight up to Skullwoods and also get that bow.
Absolutely. That is probably one of the best places that could possibly be for aLderzz. That eliminates any item advantage that Justin had, and actually puts him at an item disadvantage at the moment. Not having the smith won't give him the blue mail. He is more likely to get the fire rod though. I think he's going to Eastern, and like you said, also doing Sasharala.
Yeah, it's definitely understandable. Maybe you don't want to do too many overworld checks while you have crystal dungeons you can complete. It's not quite in logic yet, but these runners probably not gonna follow the lamp logic, because lamp logic can be quite stupid sometimes.
Yeah, if you cannot win a bracket race if you're following the lamp logic. It'll tell you, go into one dungeon to get an item, go to another dungeon, get the lamp, come back to the first dungeon. You're expected at this point to just go into a dungeon and complete it in one go. If you have everything you need other than the lamp.
Yeah, I heard a runner called Dwayne make a interesting similarity between the lamp logic and the hammer logic, that they're quite similar in a lot of ways, and if runners was able to skip the hammer logic, you would see people do it every single race.
I have to think about that. I'm having trouble understanding exactly how that would work.
Well, you can't really skip the hammer logic because you do need the hammer to get past the areas. But the hammer is one of those items as well, where it can be in a lot of stupid locations sometimes. And
I guess it's like saying if you could skip the sword logic, then you would just play swordless mode.
Yeah, I meant more like there's so many dungeons you can double dip without the hammer. If you could complete them, not having the hammer, people would do it all the time, but it's not just possible.
That's a good point. Justin picks up blue mail as the first item in Eastern. aLderzz is just getting garbage from the back of Skullwoods because we know where both items are. It's a little bit unfortunate for him. He's going to check this extra chest, but he'll be very, very happy when he finds the bow.
Yeah, for sure. And Justin picking up a heart there in order to be able to use sword beams in this room. Unfortunately, getting the first stealth spawn as well, but with the sword beams, it doesn't take long to take care of that.
Yeah, nice use of the stun prize there. Knowing it's a heart and you can top yourself off. Always good knowledge to have is the stun prize.
Oh, and there's the hammer, so that's a nice pickup.
Yeah, that's really nice. If pod was a crystal, I would say, wow, we're gonna go directly to pod next. But without that being a crystal, I'm trying to think of where he might go. Can't get in the desert. Can't get in the ice. Can't get in the swamp.
Yeah, we do have ice open, but not for Justin. But aLderzz does have the fire rod.
Yeah, aLderzz can get in there. aLderzz, I expect, will probably also make the Eastern play once he finds the bow. But I'm not sure where Justin's going to go. Maybe it would be a good time for him to go up to Death Mountain and get those 14 items we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it could be, especially because with the hammer you can go to Hera as well. Let's say a pendant, but it could still be important. But not having the fire source actually might make Hera a bit annoying if it's locked by the basement.
Well, even without that, even without the additional 3 items in Hera, you can still get The 14 on East Death Mountain, the Old Man Sequence Break, Spectacle Rock Cave, and Spike Cave. So 17 guaranteed items. Maybe you'll pick up the lamp up there or the flute. You can't get both of them up there, of course. Maybe you'll get the mirror, the boots, just something else that will make things easier. Bombos to get into Ice Palace.
For sure, it's definitely tempting to go up there. So many items, and it's very nice when you can go up to Death Mountain already having the mids for when you go up for the first time, because you don't have to double dip it as much. Ooh, there's the red cane as well, so that could actually let us go into Third Rock as well.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see that. If he heads up to Death Mountain and Turtle Rock is Ether or Quake, or he picks up Bombos, it does make sense to check in there. You'll find out usually pretty quickly if it's Fire Rod locked, and it's always nice to rule out the Fire Rod being in early Turtle Rock. We know it's not, but Justin doesn't.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Most of the times you just need to check 1 or 2 chests before you get Fire Rod locked. And when Turtle Rock is going to be the only thing you leave behind when you go up the mountain, it makes a lot of sense to just check those 2 straight away as well.
Yeah, and it looks like he's doing the sequence break. I think this makes a lot of sense. You have to keep in mind everything you find up here, is a sequence break. But if it lets you complete other dungeons in one go instead of double dipping as the logic intends you to, then it's absolutely worth it. You just got to keep in mind what you found and what that tells you about where other items can be. And I'm sure they're capable of doing that. aLderzz probably going to make the same play here. I would say. You think, Walter?
I'm not sure. I might check the first chest and then just leave.
Well, aLderzz does have the Fire Rod, so he might do Ice Palace instead. That would make sense.
Oh, okay, you were talking about the Mount of Day. That makes more sense. I thought you were talking about Easter, and I was like, yeah, he's probably doing Easter. Oh, there's the third sword. Oh, and the boots. That's
the boots.
Boots in Spectacle Rock and tempered on top. That's a pretty good Spectacle Rock, I would say.
Yeah, this is a nice sequence break. If they pick up the mirror up here, they'll be able to get that sword, and they'll also be able to get into Desert Palace once they get the flute or the book. So these are nice things to have. And aLderzz, though, he might go to Ice first because that's a crystal he can full clear, and that might give him a logical means to get up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, that could very well be the way the game wants you to go up to Death Mountain. What a big surprise to see the lamp being in Ice Palace, because quite often it tends to be there. Can't be on Coaster though if... oh, actually, never mind. I was about to say something stupid.
No, I really like this play that Justin is doing. Spike Cave first. He can use all his magic and to pick up the full magic pot in Super Bunny Cave, and not be any worse off for this decision. That's really good routing.
Yeah, for sure. So without the mirror though, I'm probably gonna do all of the Light World checks on, including Spiral Cave on the east side of Death Mountain first, and then activating Turtle Rock and going into Super Bunny Cave from the top, just in case they have the right medallion to activate or open up Turtle Rock.
Yeah, most likely, and it's a little bit inconvenient without the mirror. Mirror is one of the best items to get early just because of how much easier it makes routing. He's going to... he might do Hera and then come back to to do Dark Death Mountain, if he wants to do Hera. That's really his only other option.
So one thing that would be a little bit unfortunate for Justin is if the ice rod is hiding up here. Because without the fire rod, they would not be able to full clear Tartark at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. If he finds the ice rod up here, I think it's highly likely that he tries to go into Turtle Rock. Hopefully for him, the key layout will mean that he ends up being fire rod locked within the first chest or the chain chomp room chest, and doesn't spend too much time in there.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes if you're unlucky enough, you can be able to go all the way to the laser bridge, which would be quite unfortunate when we know the fire rod is not in there.
So he's doing Hera, and like you said, this could be fire source locked, either the big key or a dungeon item. aLderzz is not going to have that problem if he comes up here next.
Yeah, and oh, there's the small key straight away, so that doesn't mean it's fire locked quite yet, but we need to get the big key in this next chest, if that's not the case. But it's not. Both items, including the green pendant as well, are locked by fire.
This is my favorite thing about Randomizer. You see Justin make a play into Skullwoods early, find the bow, and it looks like, wow, that's something that aLderzz might not go to for a long time. But then aLderzz finds the fire rod based off his routing by turning the sick kid in and doing the smith, and next thing you know, he's got more items.
Yeah, for sure. And looks like aLderzz is going for Ice Palace, which I think makes sense, seeing what items aLderzz has.
Oh, it absolutely makes sense. It's a dungeon you can full clear. Red mail and the Master Sword is definitely sufficient to do so. You're probably going to be checking, all three of these items anyway, because what are the odds of finding everything else you need before you have to dip in here?
Yeah, for sure. And we see Justin going through the bottom of Super Bunny Cave, so he's not going to be able to activate Turtle Rock unless they find a mirror. And it's also, I think it's also worth pointing out that if Hera has something important, or for example is blocking the mirror, it's going to be quite a pain to get back to when you have to go the long way around.
Well, the only advantage there is knowing that the sword is on the Spectacle Rock Ledge. That does give him a little bit more incentive to come back up here if he finds the mirror, because he's going to want that tempered sword. But that said, I agree with you. It's definitely an advantage for aLderzz having that fire source and being able to do everything in one go.
Yeah, I didn't see. Oh, there's the mirror. Never mind. That's good news at the very least. That actually makes it possible for Justin to full clear Swamp Palace at this point instead of going into Ice Palace. Ice Palace, Swamp Palace is going to be a sequence break for now, though.
Yeah, unfortunately though, he did the save and quit. Didn't check the Turtle Rock medallion or pick up that tempered sword while he was up there.
He did check the medallion, but it's a little bit too fast for me to see which one it was.
I missed that. Definitely could have gotten the tempered sword though.
Yeah, for sure. That's a nice pickup. Sometimes it's just hard to remember that on the fly when you're already have your mind set on saving quitting.
Oh, and then immediately getting the fire rod. Yeah, and once again, like, you know, maybe this is bad because he didn't have it when he could have done Hera and Hera was locking something. Maybe this is good because he wasn't able to do Hera and Hera will just end up being a waste of time for aLderzz. You know, you never know.
Yeah, and interesting to see Justin going to Skullwoods when they already have both items. Might be just a nice opportunity to clear your head and think about what your next decision is going to be, because you're going to have to do this sooner or later.
That makes sense. Just pick up the crystal.
So according to Justin's tracker, it seems like Bombos was the medallion for Tartarok, which is the only medallion we don't have yet.
That'll probably also be the medallion for Mire then. Just like the game to give you the ones you don't need. CCX speculating maybe he's coming up here to do Skull Woods, and then we'll go do Graveyard Ledge afterwards, and you know, route in the boots block spots as well. Yeah, that's an option.
Makes sense for sure. Always nice when you can do both of them combined. Graveyard Ledge and Kingston, that is.
Yeah, you can do King's Tomb in the light world with the Titan's Myths, so it's not going to really save him any time. For all practical purposes, it's just a Graveyard Ledge check in the dark world, and it's kind of inefficient to get there from Skull Woods for just one location. But hey, if it has the value, then it was the right move.
Yeah, it definitely gives you more incentive to actually check the Graveyard Ledge, which can be a bit annoying to route in sometimes. So I'm not sure if we found anything in Ice Palace quite yet, actually, to be honest.
We got one item, but that's it. Justin also can do very quickly now the Smith chain stuff. He can do hammer pegs and mirror in the Smith. That will get him his red mail. It looks like he's going for the Graveyard Ledge. Yeah, I saw the fighter shield in ice. That was one of the items.
So it's worth mentioning that everything that Justin is checking right now is part of that sequence break up to Death Mountain. But all that really tells us is that we won't get either lamp or flippers, lamp or flute from this. All the other items are potentially accessible from these checks.
Well, we could get lamp or flute. We just can't get both of them.
Yeah.
Either of them would open up the other.
Oh, and there's the flute. So.
There's the flute. Okay.
That puts everything that Justin is doing right now in sequence. Not that he knows it, but we know it.
Yeah, and that's having just cleared ice. That makes Death Mountain both the most item dense location and a logically accessible place for aLderzz. I'll be shocked if he goes anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. And Justin heading up again with the fire rod, and is gonna be able to pick up the tempered sword as well. So it's a nice pickup before going to Ice Palace. Okay, just going up for a tempered before ice. So skipping Hera.
Tempered Sword will make Ice Palace considerably easier. That seems definitely worth the time it takes to pick that up. And meanwhile, aLderzz is activating his flute.
So Justin is heading to do maybe the Smith sequence before going into Ice, or maybe actually before doing Swamp. Because that could be the play from Justin right now as well. Especially now when you have the Fire Rod, it makes you even less incentive to close that sequence break, because you might be thinking, oh, it's just a lamp. Well, I have the Fire Rod now, so the lamp is pretty much useless at this point.
Yeah, aLderzz checking the mire area. Can't get saw the desert ledge with just arrows. Can't do checkerboard cave, so it's just going to be these 2 mire shed items. Hopefully will not go into mire. It's ether. He can go in there if he wants to, but we know that the boots and the mirror are both up on Death Mountain. There's only 2 items in mire, so that would be a really, really big gamble.
Yeah, I think that would be quite a big gamble before checking anything on Death Mountain, but looks like aLderzz had to think about it for a little bit there.
Yeah, once he picks up the mirror up here on Death Mountain, the flute is going to let him immediately get the desert crystal. He'll have the boots, he'll have the fire source, so he's going to be able to full clear that even if it's boots locked. And after that, if he still wants to go into mire, probably will do swamp still. There's so many places that are crystal dungeons before, to find that bombos and ice rod.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, there's the silvers in hammer picks, so that's nice to have for the Ganon fight. That's really the only thing they might need it for. I guess they can use it on Lamos as well.
Yeah, Justin, with the mirror, yes, we gotta explain the hammer peck magic. So the cave opens up when you've knocked down a certain number of hammer pegs, not necessarily all of the hammer pegs. So if you knock down some of them, go turn in the smith, and then knock down some more. Once you hit the total number, it'll open up. So a little bit of the time savings, you can get some of the quicker ones done and do it across 2 different attempts. But it's always fun to see. It's only the second time I've seen that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the... you don't really see it too often.
This will be our 3 bombs in the chest. I think this looks like swamp. I think you called it.
Definitely looks like it at this point, I think. So bombos and ice rod is the 2 big things we're looking at for as of this moment. Both of which could be on pedestal if that becomes a thing.
That's absolutely true. If we find them here in Swamp, though, that's going to give Justin a little bit of advantage, being able to do a faster Ice Palace. Actually, no, I guess I get the flute, so never mind.
Yeah, he would need to find the book as well. In order to go more Ice Palace.
So this is interesting from aLderzz. Doesn't have the mirror yet, but is still also opting not to do the Tower of Hera. and commit himself to the Dark World. He will find the mirror, so that's going to open up his choices here. It's interesting, though, that both of them have decided that they don't even want to go into Hera.
Yeah, Justin was trying to do it, but didn't have the fire, and after that decided, well, I have so many other things I can do right now.
Yeah, aLderzz didn't even want to try to go in.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see when they find the mirror. That would give them the possibility of doing it anyways, especially since they're probably gonna head over there to pick up the tempered sword. So they're gonna be very close to Hera.
Did he look over there and see that the sword was up there?
Yeah, I think so, because he went into Spectacle Rock. So I would imagine that he saw that.
Hopefully he'll remember, and sometimes it's a little bit tricky. You know, you go into Hookshot Cave, you're thinking mentally, this is my last place, and then I'm going to save and quit. And you get an item that changes that, and it's sometimes hard to reroute on the fly.
Oh, aLderzz actually did this before Spiral Cave, so that makes that mirror even better pickup. Otherwise they might have skipped this. Now this is not going to turn out to be anything important, but
Yeah, he's got to climb back up here, though, if he wants to do Hera and Spike Cave, or climb the left side. Oh!
we found the lamp and the ice rod in swamp. Always nice to get the ice rod before being able to go into Turtle.
Yeah, and that fixes the sequence breaks. Actually, that doesn't fix the sequence breaks for Justin, because he needed mirror to get the lamp.
Yeah,
so
it does.
The flute was required. You had to go to Ice Palace to get the flute, to get the mirror, to get the lamp.
Yeah, it does give him the information though that the flute is what he missed, not the lantern.
Yeah, and knowing what was open to him at the time, he might even know where the flute is, or have a pretty good guess. I mean, it could be in ice, it could be in, you know, Pendant Palace of Darkness, but he knows some place that it can't be.
Yeah,
can't
for sure.
be anywhere. Yeah, it can't be in a boost locked desert. It can't be in a mirror locked location. So
yeah, and speaking of desert, we see that check from aLderzz right now, and it is boost locked, so those boosts were definitely required.
So there's another crystal for Justin. Is he going to go back in for left side? He got a lot of value out of here.
Yeah. So, might be banking on some more value here, or just maybe don't want to skip too many locations at this point, because they still haven't checked Ice Road Cave, for example. They skipped Hera, so at this point might not want to skip too many things.
I liked how the seed was turning around a little bit as far as item progression was concerned, but now we're at the point of Randomizer where I don't like. Both players have, you know, a lot of what they need. They're making great progress, and it's going to come down to potentially where is Bombos, and whoever gets lucky and finds it first.
Yeah, it's interesting though that both runners still have one item each that they need as well, except for Bombos that the other runner already have. aLderzz having the flute to get into desert, and Justin has the ice rod from swamp.
Yeah, it's okay for now, but if aLderzz does swamp and then Justin does ice, and you know they're basically tied up and just searching off these one-off locations, that's always frustrating. You go back and you watch the VOD and you're like, well, we were tied, and you know it came down to whoever got lucky and found Bombos.
Yeah, at the very least they won't have to dip Turtle Rock, because that's gonna be their go mode dungeon, unless I guess they find Unless aLderzz finds the bombos before the ice run, I guess.
That's a good point. I can't imagine aLderzz going anywhere but Swamp next. He has shown a preference for doing the Crystal Dungeons rather than Overworld. So having everything he needs to clear Crystal Swamp makes a lot of sense. Justin, he has everything he needs to clear Crystal Ice, which will then let him clear Crystal Desert. So I think both of their next paths are pretty obvious.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And it definitely looks like Justin is heading over for Ice Palace here.
Yeah, absolutely the right play to make. And without the flute, walking over here is the fastest option. I think aLderzz is going to check Checkerboard Cave and hopefully skip Mire and go to Swamp.
Yeah, so it's with that lamp in Swamp, that actually puts both of the, or actually every single pendant is now in logic, which is something you don't want to see.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That lamp lets them logically complete Mire and Pod now. They have everything they need to do those without sequence breaks. For, between the lamp and the flute, once they have both of those, all of their sequence breaks will have been fixed. I guess Justin's have already been fixed. The lamp... Oh no, he still needs the flute. When he gets the flute, then all of his sequence breaks will have been resolved.
Yeah. And same goes for aLderzz when finding that lantern. So that will put the Canos of Moria back in logic for aLderzz.
Exactly. So pedestal bombos is a possibility. Or of course, a fetch quest item that leads to bombos, which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of fetch quests, we've not seen too many of them. We did get the shovel pretty early on, and we also got the cape, but none of those led to anything.
Well, the powder is nice to have, regardless of being able to do the fetch quest. Just getting infinite health in your dungeons is very, kind of a nice thing to have. That's a no-brainer. Mushroom doesn't do much for you, though.
You could always fake powder, right? Which is a lot less convenient than actually just using the powder.
You got to be pretty desperate for health. But it is an option.
Yeah, I've actually done... You can do a fake powder with the real powder as well, if you don't have any magic.
That's true. I always forget that. And now that you mention it, I've been in that situation. Turtle Rock, needing to get something off the anti-fairies and having no magic. Good to remember.
Yeah, I figured that out when I was 1 heart before Lamo was 2. I was just desperate.
While they are following in each other's footsteps here, just remind all the viewers to check out their individual Twitch pages, Justin and aLderzz, and give them a follow if you can.
Yeah, for sure. They're both amazing runners. I haven't seen aLderzz play too much, but what I can see from this race is is doing a fantastic job. And I do remember, like, during the Key Sanity tournament, when everyone was so hyped about Key Sanity, playing Key Sanity all the time. I always saw Justin in the Discord group being the one playing Standard, was really getting hyped for this tournament. So both of these players are definitely putting a lot of work to get here.
Being able just to get to the brackets, and they both went 5-2, so they got one of the guaranteed spots, and I think they're pretty evenly matched. No one's taken a death. No one's even come close. Their execution's been very nice. It's been spot on. You know, not God mode execution that you get from grinding the same room for 10 hours straight, but very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. And here we see the Tempered Sword on Coldster. It's a lot more. It's a lot more nice to have this sword instead of the Master Sword, and we see just why.
Yeah, Coldster got out of his corner. That could have been brutal with only green mail, but red gives you a lot of extra safety.
Yeah, no one puts Coldster in the corner. So that's the flute for Justin. That's probably gonna lead them over to desert straight away.
Yeah, that evens up their item parity. You know, aLderzz is of course still down a sword, but not a big deal because you know, we know where it is, and he knows where it is. Presumably knows where it is. So this all comes down to Bombos, and it's in an overworld location or a pendant dungeon, or you know, overworld includes pedestal, of course.
Yeah, that's Overworld locked by pendants. So I'm trying to think of which Overworld locations one runner has done, the other hasn't. Justin didn't check the Ice Road Cave, which aLderzz did, but aLderzz has not done the Purple Chest or Catfish, and I don't think they did Pyramid as well.
Yeah, Justin also did Hammer Pegs, which aLderzz didn't, and Spike Cave, which aLderzz didn't. So there's a variety of the one-offs. What frustrates me though is, you know, if one person checks like Tower of Hera and finds it, and the other person does like Mire and Pod and then Hera, and it's you know, you can have a 10-minute difference now from players that are essentially tied.
Yeah, that's part of the randomness sometimes, because it is completely randomized after all. Just in checking the ledge before actually heading into the Mire area. I was probably gonna check Mire Shed before heading into Desert, but I would not imagine them to go into Mire before doing that. But after finishing Desert, like Mire could be tempting to do.
Maybe. It's only 2 items, and it's quite a bit of work to get those 2, especially if you have to go all the way to Vitreous. Palace of Darkness with 5 items might be a little bit of a better choice, but there's nothing screams at you as like this is the next place to go. It's all gambles at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And since both of these runners are playing against each other, they're not playing in a big race with like a lot of runners. That could change their decision making a bit, because one runner is thinking, for example, oh, Mire is probably the last place my opponent is going to go. I might just do that first in case it has it, but like it can go both ways.
Yeah, that's a dangerous line of thinking. You know, if you say, well, Mire's last place I'm going to go, then maybe that gamble will pay off. But if that's the last place your opponent's going to go because it's a really bad location, and there's more item dense locations to go to, then you could be shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, for sure. It would definitely be a more risky gamble instead of playing the numbers.
Yeah, if you're an hour and 10 minutes in and you have 6 crystals or very close to 6 crystals, you might want to just think you're ahead and go for item density just to be safe. But we'll see. I won't be surprised if both players make the same decision. I also won't be surprised if they both go to different locations.
Yeah, so we see aLderzz starting off with cleaning up some of the Overworld locations. And this good is gonna lead them to the silver arrows here.
Yeah, this is good. There's 2 locations here, the pegs in the chest, and he still has graveyard ledge and the 2 boot spots. So 5 very fast checks for him. And that's going to take precedence over the 1-offs or the 2-offs. Hera at 3 isn't a bad decision for him. Hera next would actually be pretty good since he still needs to pick up the sword. And that's 3 fairly quick items with the green pendant. Oh, he has S through key 45 as well.
Yeah, I do believe aLderzz might not have checked the boots locations quite yet as well. That might be something they're thinking about. That could actually even be a pretty nice way of routing in catfish too, because you can just do catfish after doing the graveyard ledge.
That's a good point. Turn in the purple chest, flute back to 3, do graveyard ledge, the bonk spots, and the catfish. You're knocking out a good chunk of your remaining overworld spots, and then you can just focus on dungeons. Fortunately, in this seed, you're not going to have to ever check the pyramid fairy because with TR being your red crystal, no wake can be there. So sorry, Bombus can be there. So that's one less location to check. This is our first old man check as well. No one sequence broke it.
I think
or
Justin had to because he didn't have the flute when he went up.
Okay, this is our second old man check.
I think it was just a heart or something like that. The old man showing some love to a man's best friend.
Ooh, misery my reply.
Okay, never mind, that's not hard. Yeah, this is a big one. If there's something in mire, and at this point the only thing that could be in mire is bombos or something leading to it.
Yeah, this is definitely a gamble. aLderzz looks like we're going to see probably Hera followed by Spike Cave, as well as picking up that sword. 4 items up here.
Yeah, and doing Hera first before pod makes sense too, because you can just turn in the green pennant while walking to Palace of Darkness.
Hera's also a really fast dungeon to clear when you have all the gear that he has. Pod, you spend 2 minutes just picking up small keys.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit slower this time, as we know, because of the coffee break, but it's still, even with that, it's not too bad.
Yeah, and Palace of Darkness has its own coffee break before Helm's War. If you do have to go that far.
Yeah, and Justin sees getting a God Mire, which makes sense because it's a pendant and they're not in Goma.
Of course, that's how it works. It's always God Mire when you don't want God Mire. God Mire in this game would be Bombos in the first chest.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a heart container putting Justin at 17 hearts at this point, so that together with Red Maid, you don't have a lot of excuses to complain about health.
Yeah, if you die at this point, it's your fault. So here's my question for you, Walter. Speculation time. If Justin finds the second item, is he going to mirror out, or do you think he's going to go for the pendant?
That's it's a pretty rough call to go for the pendant at this point. I think just seeing how many locations there are in the other pendants. But yeah, I would assume that he won't do it. But it's a tough call. I'm guessing he did get both items because he did do a saving coin.
You waited long enough to answer. I'm not going to give you any points for that one.
I actually didn't even see the second item because it was just a small key in the big chest.
Yeah, he got one item. I think the other item was on Vitreous, and he just decided it wasn't worth going down that far.
Oh, okay. So then we definitely got an answer from Justin then. That's a bit interesting that you spend so much time to get the first item in Mire. I think it kind of makes sense to get the second item straight away when you're actually in there.
Well, Mire is really, really easy to get back to. I mean, it's a flute and then like 10 seconds. He might be thinking that Mire was probably not the good play to make in the first place, and is trying to, not sink any more time into a bad decision.
Yeah, maybe I'm just speaking from own experience. One of my brackets matches, both me and my opponent went into Mire, got one required item and left. Turned out that the mirror was in there as well, and we didn't return for like 25 minutes.
Well, if you guys both did it, then no one had an advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, aLderzz not even needing the cave.
Yeah, that's another advantage of having so many hearts.
He did cut it pretty close, though. Alright, so I'm gonna guess Palace of Darkness and turn in the pendant.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially since you just beat the green pendant as well. And afterwards, maybe doing catfish and the pyramid.
Yeah, we know the catfish and the pyramid aren't anything. So if we don't find these in these 6 items, the pendant and olive pod, if we don't find bombos in here, we've seen one item in Mire as well. So that's going to make the pedestal pretty likely at that point.
Yeah, for sure. For every item we see from now on that isn't Bombo, it's looking more and more likely.
I haven't seen pedestal in a while, so I think we're kind of due for a pedestal seed.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think I've commentated any pedestal seeds in this tournament or played one. So why not?
Well, I've had a few people do blind pulls of the pedestal, and it wasn't their progression item. But so it'd be nice to get an actual pedestal required seed.
Yeah, that only counts in our hearts. That doesn't count for a pedestal seed.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes Chad happy, but it doesn't win your races.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing though, if this turns out to be a pedestal seed, I hope it's required to do blind.
Yes, absolutely. You have to do a blind pedestal pull.
Like the book is somewhere in Turtle Rock or something.
If we found the book in Pod, I would expect the runners to check it, because you're not going to want to dip into mire, and if you could potentially avoid it, you'll just do ether tablet and bombos tablet and skip mire. So that's fair to do. Yeah, mire is such a time-consuming dungeon for only 2 items, one of which we know is on freaking Vitreous.
Yeah, for sure. But did Justin do the cutscene room though? I'm not sure if they did. So it could maybe be in there as well.
That's a good point. He did skip that, I believe. Yeah, he did not want to spend a lot of time in that dungeon. I think he was going in there hoping for, really quickly finding the 2 items, and just didn't want to put any more time than he had to.
Yeah, for sure, that makes sense. I mean, if you full clear mire and you get nothing from it, that doesn't feel good at all. So if we come to that point where Justin has to go back to mire, do you think they would go straight for Vitreous then? I mean, that would make sense, right? Because you can get the item potentially from Vitreous.
Yeah, I definitely think that would make sense. The cutscene room is a fairly significant time commitment. You're going to have to switch the block, which means you're going to have to switch it back when you go to Vitreous. I think you take the 50-50 and you just do Vitreous. If it's not a Vitreous though, I think you do go back before you check the pedestal.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my second question.
Yeah, Pod's not looking great so far. Just Helmasaur left.
Yeah, Helmasaur does have an item at the very least, so it could be saved by that.
Vanilla Bombos and the Bombos tablet. That would be interesting. We would need. We could have the book on the pedestal and Vanilla Bombos. Entirely possible.
Yeah, and seeing like how many items, locations they've checked, like we're almost at the point where pedestal is one of the only locations left, and it's still sub 1/3 at this point. That is definitely like a testament to how good these runners are.
Yeah, this really is a very respectable time. I think it's likely that aLderzz is probably going to continue on to do Pyramid and Catfish coming out of here. There's no better time left for him to do those 2 checks. Justin, I'm trying to think of what Overworld checks does Justin still have to do. Are there any?
I'm not sure if they are. Maybe I'm not sure if he ever checked the lumberjack ledge, but he did check Ice Rock Cave at the very least. As soon as he got the flu.
All right, so for him, it'll just be going back to Misery Mire?
Yeah, I think so. Unless I'm forgetting something.
That really, really sucks. If you gamble Mire, then you nope out of it, and then that ends up being where you have to go back to after doing Harrot and Pod. You gotta feel horrible at that point.
Yeah, I'm starting to get some PTSD at this point.
Oh, I'm sorry, Walther, but Mire has no sympathy.
But who knows? We might get bombos from
Come on, Helmasaur.
Helmsar. I mean, he's doing the
Your
animation.
last hope. Your last hope. And no, red rupee.
Yes, I think that means it has to be in Mire or pedestal, unless we get something from Mire that leads us to something else.
So, chat's question: who's ahead? Really, neither at this point. Justin's finishing up the dungeon that aLderzz just cleared. aLderzz has more overworld locations to check, though. So it's really close. I mean, neither's ahead.
Yeah, but it looks like aLderzz is skipping them. Might be thinking at this point I've done 2 pendants that wasn't required before checking catfish. At this point I might just think if it's catfish I might be so far behind that it's not able to recover, so just going into mire instead.
That's definitely a fair play, and Justin will probably head back here immediately after killing Helmasaur. Justin's checked a few chests in this dungeon already, has the big key, so it's extremely close at this point. If Bombos is in here, especially if it's on Vitreous, they could very well be holding up the crystal at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is looking more and more like, I think we're down to 2 locations in the entire game that are available that we haven't seen as viewers. The other Mire item and then the pedestal. I think we've seen everything else across both of these players.
Yeah, and aLderzz is gonna pick up the big key here, so they can make the decision of gambling for Vitreous, but yeah, not having any of the items yet, I think it makes sense not to do it.
And so Justin has checked the pyramid and the catfish. aLderzz hasn't checked them, but we know that they don't have the Bombos medallion. I think this is the first item. Yep, a full heart. And is he going to go right down to the vanilla big key? Or no, he's also going... he's also skipping that, like Justin did.
Yeah, and that makes this even closer.
Justin is back at Mire.
Yeah, this is not a good feeling.
Wow, this is super close now. aLderzz is going back for the vanilla big key spot.
Oh, that's interesting, because we haven't. That's one of the 2 locations in Mire that we haven't seen.
Yeah, Justin might come here, or he might just rush Vitreous. Still no Bombos. We are looking for Bombos, and we have 2 spots left that it could be that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just doing the play-by-play. I'm saying Justin is not rushing Vitreous and is heading down to this room as well. So they are going to be in the same room, 2 rooms apart.
Yeah, this is good news for Justin if this turns out to be the item, and it's not, so it's on Vitreous.
That's good for Justin. aLderzz is not going right to Vitreous, so he's going to check those other 2 spots. This will give us some Vitreous sync.
Yeah, now I'm really hoping for pedestal, because we might see a synced up blind pull from the pedestal if that's the case. Because I mean, at this point, hoping for pedestal is actually not too evil, because it's just another overworld check if it is. It's like turning in the green pendant, but you're just turning in all of them.
Exactly. Justin going left side to Vitchy, aLderzz going right side of the Vitty, and they'll be meeting in the middle. Justin's ahead by a screen. Yep, they both have silvers, plenty of health. Red medals, tempered sword. Nothing standing in their way at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Silver arrows on the Vitreous. That sure is nice to have. I'll tell you one thing though. Is Justin gonna do the spooky action here?
No, aLderzz missed the block, and then Justin didn't need the block. He's trying to do the other, like the original spooky setup. All right, same room.
Yeah, and everyone who's played this game, the randomizer, knows that if Bombos was if Turtle Rock was a pendant, they would have got like Bombos in Kekrik or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's Ice Rod and pendants are the two worst items to be your go mode, because they can be almost anywhere. Justin done super fast. aLderzz saying, "It's Bombos."
Yeah, you're saving and quitting. You don't need that pendant anymore.
Yeah, not even picking it up. aLderzz did pick up the pendant. Doesn't need it. So that's valuable seconds Justin saved there by skipping the fanfare.
Yeah, for sure.
So now Justin definitively is in the lead. They're both go mode, but Justin is on the mountain on his way up the Turtle Rock a little bit faster.
Yeah, and luckily Justin does have enough magic, because he doesn't have a lot of magic for not picking up the pendant, but does have enough magic to use the bombs. So it's going to be able to open up Turtle Rock without having to go over to Super Bunny Cave.
Yeah, if he had to climb up here in the Dark World to get the Super Bunny, that wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it's not ideal. But yeah, this is definitely an execution race at this point. They have everything they need to complete the game. Maybe we'll see a routing divergence in Ganon's Tower, but we'll be go-moding Turtle Rock, skipping Mimic Cave. Hopefully none of them makes any silly mistakes, gambles the big chest or something like that, not having a key. That would be a game ender at this point.
Yeah, that would definitely be a gamble. It's kind of like a gamble that it doesn't save you too much time, but if it doesn't pay off, it's gonna cost you quite a bit of time.
So Justin's already checked. Oh, no, he hasn't already checked. So he's doing these first, and then the left side, I guess.
So 2 small keys to begin with. That's very nice, and the big key in the left side chest as well. That's a very nice start of a go mode Turtle Rock. Can't be much better than that. If they get a small key in the change jump room now, that would be it. That's the only thing they would need to open.
Well, that'll still put them 1 small key short, won't it?
Not if you steal a key from the Poke. And for the lava chest.
stealing a key from the Pokey will give you a key for the roller room, but you'll still need one more key for the final room.
Yeah, but I was saying if they get a small key here in the changeover room.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood.
But they didn't get it, so yeah, they're gonna need to find one more small key at this point.
My bad. You were right.
Yeah, it happens. It's hard to listen and look at the same time sometimes. At least for me.
That
I'm not
and
very good at doing two things at once.
I'm also really, really bad with key logic in any dungeon. So stealing a key there. That's expected.
Yeah, there's no reason to check that middle chest at this point. And nice full magic, and looks like Justin is gonna skip the big chest.
Ooh, no, Justin.
The way this will burn, Justin, is if the lava chest has one small key and the big chest has the last one. That way, he would be required to go back again for one of those.
Yeah, there are 4 chests. He's gonna check this one. All right, there we go.
That's good news, because that means he can get to try next without even checking laser bridge as well.
That's really dangerous. Not having exited here, your mirror takes you back all the way to the beginning.
Yeah, and it was a small key, so that means the lava chest can't be a small key then.
Yeah, lava chest would have been an item. So if they had opened that, then they would have had to go to the big chest. But yeah, Justin completely skips this, and ALTTTPR is going to have an extra key.
Yeah, it's interesting. They actually didn't even need to open that chest.
That's the thing about key logic. Sometimes you're not thinking ahead, to all the doors, and you're just kind of playing it safe. It's difficult to think about in the heat of the moment if you don't really have a mastery of it.
Yeah, and muscle memory is pretty hard to avoid sometimes as well.
Nice Trinex. Only got one cycle off the head. So how are they on safeties? Fairies, potions? Any idea what they got?
I'm not sure if they have any potions. They might have one blue one. I'm not certain, but with the amount of hearts they have, hopefully they won't need too many. Without powder, they can't really do the checkpoints on the way up Ganon's Tower, though.
The only bottle I remember is the empty bottle, which doesn't help us.
It looked like ALTTTPR had a red potion, so I would assume that Justin has one as well, because none of them has been going to the witch to buy potions.
Yeah, they both have all 4 bottles. I do remember there being a red, now that you mention it. Chat says a blue as well, and a fairy. CCX mentions a fairy.
Okay, so that's some pretty good safeties, especially when you have so many hearts and red mail.
Yeah, the only risk, without half magic is maybe some spots running out of magic. As long as they're conscious of the fact that they're limited to magic, they can avoid it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing we're not on speed gaming,
because we forgot.
Got to do that big key game. So yeah. That's a thing.
I have confidence that if we were on speed gaming, CCX would have remembered and reminded us, or done it himself.
So Justin got a small key from the first 2 chests on the right side there, and decided to go over here to the right side, which has been a pretty standard play in this tournament, I would say. So we might see aLderzz do the same.
So despite having already seen 2 locations, I'm still going to make a guess. I'm going to go with the randomizer room.
Yeah, that's... I'm not sure which numbers that would be. Oh, it looks like aLderzz is actually either going full left side or doing the Dark Magician strategy.
Yeah, commentator's privilege is that we get to guess an entire room instead of a number.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess the basement.
No, room, not floor. You cheater.
Oh, and Justin's actually going full right. This is
Yeah.
some interesting divergence from both their.
aLderzz got the powder there in the Stalfos room. aLderzz is doing Stalfos room, then right side. But the powder's nice to have. That's last minute health top offs.
Yeah, and the Dark Magician strat is what aLderzz is doing right now, checking the Stalfos room first and then going full right.
Ooh, and swag Samaria.
Yeah, and Justin just decided to go full right straight away, getting Bob the big key on Bob's torch, not Bob's torch, but in Bob's chest, which is one of the advantages of going full right, because you get to ice armors faster than going left side. So if the big key is behind ice armors or on the right side, that's definitely faster.
Little bit of a disadvantage for aLderzz, but not the worst. Randomizer room would have been the worst location for that to be.
Yeah, for sure.
But that definitely gives Justin a routing advantage here, in addition to the slight time advantage he already had going into this dungeon.
Yeah, so at this point, aLderzz will need to catch up sometime, either on execution or if Justin does some kind of mistakes.
Yeah, it's still definitely close enough, though, that, you know, a single mistake, you know, like, you're not talking 30 Ganon falls, you're talking 1.
Yeah. And speaking of falls, this is a really annoying room to do without any magic. There's a lot of things that can knock you off.
Yeah, this right here is why I never do full right side. I can't do this room.
Ooh, that was a close one, but they got it, so they're on a good path to get the big key now.
Yeah, you got through, but with Justin already climbing the gauntlet, every second matters, and aLderzz can't afford to lose any.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
There we go. Big key for aLderzz. And he'll be heading up now.
Yeah, and Justin just passed Lamels too, so that's the part of the climb that's the most dangerous one concerning the health, but the most time-consuming parts where you can lose time is still coming up, which is Moldorm and the Ganon fight itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, aLderzz is, you know, he's really, really playing this super safe now. And we just saw him very slowly work through the switch block room. I mean, he picked up every single pot looking for magic. It's, you know, he's adding to Justin's lead.
Yeah, Justin has enough magic here to be able to just skip the full magic refill and head straight up. Oh, actually, gonna have to use the lantern there.
Nice. Doesn't have the powder, so these fairies, doesn't matter if he doesn't have magic for the fairies, because he doesn't have the powder for the fairies.
Yeah, and he's getting a full magic here as well, so that's nice. And we did speak a little bit of of the safest, and just haven't used any of those potions yet. So getting a very nice Moldorm 2 fight as well.
Clean Moldorm throwing some bombs away.
Yeah, I think he was thrown bomb. Oh, he got him back actually, but.
Well, he forgot to switch to Hookshot, so you might as well do something with the bombs while you're waiting for Moldorm to explode.
Sure. Adding to the fireworks. So we have a Aghanim 2 fight coming up here, which I guess technically would be an Aghanim 1 fight here, because we haven't seen Aghanim at all so far. Getting a nice triple might count as a double, but he definitely hit all 3 of them. And that's a double. And yeah, the first one did count as a triple, so that's 3, 2, 1. It can be much better than that.
Yeah, the 3, 2, 1, you're getting progressively worse as you go.
Yeah, but the second one was a blue ball, so it wasn't a possibility to get the triple.
Yeah, I'm just teasing. That was a very clean Aga. aLderzz done the gauntlet, doing the Wizrobe slaughter as Justin falls into his Ganon fight.
Yeah, and even though this wasn't a pedestal seed, it pretty much was anyways, because they did have to beat every single pendant before they got that almost.
Yeah, nice positioning there at the start of phase 2. 3 spins, if he hits doubles up here, that's all you need. And he's done phase 2.
Yeah. Using the potion makes sense. Don't need to risk it. You don't have to save the potions for anything at this point.
Yeah, great time to have internet issues, buddy.
This is the secret coffee break.
Ganon's liking the teleports today.
Yeah, he's trying to avoid his fate as long as possible.
Break that 37 record. Oh, and aLderzz taking a fall, Moldorm.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
And torch glitch with the fire rod. Very nice execution there.
Yeah, and very nice setup here for the last 2 hits. Yeah, that's a toast Ganon. You only had to light the torch once.
Yeah, Justin's Ganon execution was nice. His whole GT was nice. aLderzz, was a little bit behind coming in here, and unfortunately, just hasn't had the GT execution today.
Yeah, so spam your GGs in chat for Justin. Apparently, B-Torp was here as well.
Yeah,
Did we ever get a B-Torp in this seed?
I don't think we did get a B-Torp. Justin, though, holding the Triforce proudly above his head with an official time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 30 seconds. With aLderzz heading into... we're joined by Justin. I was going to say let's hold off a second, but never mind. GG's, Justin. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Sorry if I stepped in a little early.
That's okay. We just have aLderzz in his Aga 2 fight at the moment. So we were... if you want to just hang out a minute, we can...
That's perfect.
Yeah, that'll work out well. We can start the questions and not have to repeat ourselves.
Yeah. Ooh, nice triple at the end there.
Yeah, very nice triple. And GG's, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's going to the Ganon. You guys both had the same safeties. He managed to pick up powder from the Stalfos room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were talking. I heard he did Dark Magician.
Yeah, I've been trying to kill that. I call it Stalfos room first, and then right side. It's been unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, fair enough.
Looks like we lost our audio. But just imagine ominous, scary music right now.
I'm trying my best. Oh, unfortunately, that was not a one cycle in the second phase. But I think this should be enough. And we have a couple of teleports to expect here.
Yeah, he did teleport quite a few times. I'm still waiting to see another 37.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the Ganon warps doesn't really matter too much since both players get the same number of them, but it definitely hurts if you happen to fall or anything like that. You waited for all those teleports for nothing.
He also gets in the phase 4, uses the lamp for the torch glitch, but picks it up. And nice, ooh, misses the positioning there, so it's gonna be another single.
I think he actually got a slash silverless hit there.
And should be a double? There we go.
Yeah, so very well played for aLderzz as well. It turned out to be quite close before you got your go modes for both of you, so it was a very close race at the end. So GG's to aLderzz.
Yeah. GG's to aLderzz. Official time of 1 hour, 51 minutes, 12 seconds. We have both Justin and aLderzz here in chat. GG, guys.
Yeah,
Hey.
GG, my Scottish
GG,
brother.
man. Yeah.
That was a seed.
It sure was. I mean, and as we discussed, it was just a hair from being a total awesome jet seed,
Yeah, totally.
and then Bombos had to happen.
Yeah, I was saying to Justin after the race, like I was gonna dip Mire the same time that he did, and decided against it. And then took me like 35 minutes to go back. And as soon as I seen it, I was just like, oh, really?
You guys were actually in Vitreous at the same time.
Oh man.
So you
Not
had
really.
synced up. Justin picked up Bombos and then saved and quit and didn't even get the pendant, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and so was that actually like? I mean, because when I finished playing, and I brought the stream up, you know, because of the 15-minute delay, I saw that I was just getting into Turtle Rock slightly earlier. So was it like down to that reason that I saved and quit?
A little bit, yeah. You also entered the Vitreous fight a little bit sooner as
Okay.
well. Because you already cleared out most of Mire earlier.
That's true. That's
You
good.
only had 2 locations to check in Mire.
Yeah, and of course the first one had to be a troll as well.
Mire was great. aLderzz was entering Mire before Justin, but had more locations to check. And then you guys both took, the left side route and right side route to get to Vitreous, because aLderzz still had to go do the big chest. And then, it was like basically 15 seconds at that point. Gambling on the big chest versus getting it. Lost aLderzz some time in Turtle Rock. Route divergences in GT. You had the God route, Justin, in Ganon's Tower. And then of course some Moldorm falls, contributed. But I'm really, really glad for you guys that it didn't come down to a Bombos hunt. In different spots.
That's good. Yeah, that's good that I was actually kind of a race after we both picked it up. I felt super behind. I never ever do Star Force room first, then right side. AKA Dark Magician. But I hardly ever do it, which is why I kind of stumbled a bit on the right side after the key, because I have any magic to get through the 2 fire bars. So yeah, I kind of gambled on doing that rather than going kind of full left side or right then left. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you broke up there, Justin. Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, that's the second race in a row in the tournament that I've just.
We can hear you now.
I think what he's saying is his first time he's gambled just full left side for the second race.
No, it's the second race in a row that I gambled full right, and the key was in Bob's chest.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely a fast way to get there, and getting that small key on the right side definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
possible.
just so lucky. I'm just on obviously a lucky streak, which I'm glad for. Because I mean, obviously, if we were into TR at similar times, into Ganon's Tower at similar times, it was, as far as the rest of the race going, really, really close. So, and when that's the case, luck can be the difference.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of Randomizer, really. Like,
Yeah.
it's just someone makes the right choice and it wins in the race, or
Yeah, exactly.
that's why everyone loves watching it and playing it.
Exactly.
This race in particular was, an excellent example of what makes Randomizer so much fun to watch. Justin getting the bow, led you. It looked like early progression, but then aLderzz not getting the bow got the fire rod quicker, which got the bow, and it was so much back and forth, and just it converged on the same screen in go mode. And I don't know where else you can see something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear that at least, it was like that, and it was a good one to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully our next race on Thursday, same time, will be just as close and exciting to watch as well if it's been restreamed, so yeah.
There's no doubt that it'll be restreamed. I look forward to watching it. I didn't have any questions because your race was very clean. Walter, you have any questions for the runners?
Well, there's a couple of things that happened in this race that was a bit interesting. Both of you decided to do the hula hand before doing the fake, or actually not fake twitch.
Oh, really? Did Justin do it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, which was interesting and really paid off since the Moon Pro was from Sora.
Yeah.
It was a couple of divergences early on, but it was really nice to just see come back together in the end.
Yeah.
I just want to say, sorry, go Justin.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say the flippers play. I mean, it definitely felt like a proper play to make under the circumstances, and so yeah, I mean, it just and I think aLderzz, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying you felt pretty similarly that the early to mid game we both felt really good about the choices we made routing wise.
Yeah, I felt pretty good up until really trying to search for bombos, which I think was kind of similar to you. So I think we probably had slight divergences in the mid game, but we were both pretty happy with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I actually will ask a question I thought of. I believe, Justin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the point you got bombos, you had basically checked every other open location. aLderzz had catfish, pyramid left to do, but were you guys both at that point heading to the pedestal next?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said to Justin. I was 100% about to blind bullet it.
I had nothing left, so for me that was an obvious play. But yeah, that's interesting. So that's one slight difference than aLderzz. Once I swung around south with the Titan's mitts and checked Hype Cave, I got in the water and went around to check Pyramid and Catfish first before I then resumed.
Right, okay.
And went up to Death Mountain. So yeah, I just felt like I was like, okay, here's here's a little potential, like the hammer could be here situation, is what it felt like. So I thought like that's a good play because otherwise it's going to take me a long time to get all the way around there again. So I just felt like getting it out of the way at the time.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's kind of why I was doing dungeons and left those locations that I had left, because I was kind of the feeling of, if it's there, I've probably already lost because I
Sure.
can't make up that time back. So
Yeah,
I was just
that's
never going
logical.
to check them.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, Justin, you didn't take the frog with you on the first initial world tour, and that kind of kept you from getting the ice rod and initial mail upgrade, or fire
Yeah,
rod rather.
yeah, I suppose it did. Although was Fire Rod was Sick Kid, right? So that was just a matter of getting the bottle up on, where was it? Like, or was it?
Well, Aldridge took the frog on the tour, picked up the bottle, and was able to do bottle when he turned the frog in. And
Ah,
he
okay,
had,
I gotcha. And then immediately go to Skullwoods and get the bow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it made up for not doing the
not
Skullwoods
doing
dip
the.
initially.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because in my last race, I grabbed Frog without the mirror, and then I was like, crap, that was a bad play because I wasn't going to be able to do other stuff I wanted to do because he was following me, and I would have to take the time without boots to go walk him back, and then he had the mirror. So I'm like, no, this isn't going to happen again. So I just said, it's fine. I'll be back here anyway because I still need to do Skullwoods. So it's no problem. I can do this later. And so for me, I got to save time since I got the mirror first uh, before doing that string, and then it nicely dovetailed directly into Swamp Palace. So it worked out. But I mean, it could have gone wrong for sure.
That makes sense. I thought maybe you were taking the. I thought maybe Alders was going to take the frog and head the pod in case they got the hammer, because Kiki will overwrite the frog, so you can still do that.
Right.
Like kind of like as a backup option. But the hammer, didn't turn up.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting place and interesting way the game actually wanted you to route, since you know flute on Vitreous,
Yeah.
or on Cold Stare rather, and then where was the lantern? It was in Swamp, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wanted you to
Yeah,
get the flute off Cold Stare, the
yeah,
mirror off Death Mountain, then the lamp off of Swamp
exactly.
Palace.
So I mean, that was one where you're like, okay. Yeah, glad I didn't follow that recommended route because that would have been just nuts.
Yeah, if you really wanted to follow the logic, it would require you to go into Eastern as well to get the hammer, and then go
Right,
get the lamp, and then go back to Eastern again
exactly. So
to get the
forget
key.
that, man. And it did make me glad I did Eastern first, before going up to Death Mountain, because that obviously made a difference having the hammer up there.
Yeah,
Uh,
same.
yeah. So, um, and yeah, I mean, once I left Mire, um, to go look at the other 10 locations where the bombos could have been, um, I was just like, as location after location was a bust, I'm just like, all right, I hope Alders had to double dip Eastern. All right, I hope he is now doing all the other pendant dungeons as well. This is getting crazy. So yeah, I actually said out loud to myself, just to sort of psych myself up after the big key was in Bob's chest. I was just kind of convincing myself that you'd gone into Ganon's tower ahead of me, Alders, and then the gamble had just paid off, and now I needed to execute because, if I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. I was just trying to have a good mindset, and I'm sure it was tough for you too after that kind of a search to be in a good headspace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it kind of showed in my gauntlet. I had a terrible, terrible gauntlet. Fell to Troll Dorm twice.
Ugh.
Yeah, I just had a really bad gauntlet. My execution was really, really sloppy. So I wasn't really happy with that. I mean, I think we said to you that the time that I lost wouldn't have made up anyway, so I just still lost. So I can't be that disheartened about it. But it's always bad to have a terrible gauntlet, But
No, it's the worst feeling, especially if
Yeah.
you feel like it might be close.
Yeah, definitely.
It was nice to see a close race. I think this seed definitively showed everybody why, in order to play at this level, you have to ignore dark room sequence breaks.
Totally.
Because I can't imagine the hour difference that it would have made if you guys hadn't had the execution skills you did. But I'll I'll wrap things up by posting links in chat for Justin and aLderzz, and thanking you guys again. Unless you guys have any last thoughts.
Boy, we've said a lot, haven't we?
Yeah. So final thoughts.
GG aLderzz, and yeah, I hope we have another close competitive one on Thursday.
Yeah, ditto here. I hope we have a good race on Thursday, and it's nice and close, and might even sneak to a game 3, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I look forward to that, and I wish aLderzz luck for game 2, because game 3 and more rando is always better. So looking at the schedule at the moment, it's currently 4:40 p.m. EDT. There's a race in progress on Speed Gaming 2, Gemini versus Pink Kitty Rose. It started at 4 o'clock. The next upcoming race at 5:30 in 50 minutes on Speed Gaming is between Chisame and Christos Owen. That one's got to be a lot of hype. And then there's 2 more races later on this evening at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock on Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 3, respectively. Check the schedule for more information on those races. We'll finish up by thanking our restreamer Danny and our tracker CCX for keeping everything up to date and keeping us honest. My co-commentator Walther, it's been a pleasure, and the last words go to you, sir.
Yeah, for sure. I can only double what you said, and thank you to you as well, Tira, for co-commentating as well, and good lucks to both of the runners in the next one.
Well, thank you very much, Walter.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Go ahead.